Okay, welcome back to our part 2 series on the male sexual warrior, male sexual health, and how to reclaim and how to protect and enhance or optimize your sexual health. Let us continue. Alright, so we're looking at this particular slide here on industrial chemicals. We see that in the center we have what is known as endocrine disrupting chemicals. Okay, now these are all the chemicals that men or male sexual warrior have to be concerned about, even women today too, so they don't end up with estrogen dominance as far as producing what we call xenoestrogens or artificial estrogens that mimic real estrogens that are not healthy for men and that are not healthy for women, can cause cancer, can disrupt the hormonal cycle, can lower testosterone levels. So we see a lot of these include personal care products, pharmaceutical drugs, heavy metals, pesticides, herbicides, fungicides, industrial chemicals. So these are endocrine disruptors. As we can see here, women tend to use a lot of them in the cosmetic industry, and as well as men. And so a sexual warrior, we know, must first disarm his mate to avoid contamination. It sounds a little strange, but actually it's very important because many of these ingredients can actually be rubbed off or can be transferred over transdermally from skin-to-skin contact to by the female to the male, and can actually pose a problem for the testosterone level for a male and can disrupt hormonal flow. Hairsprays, deodorants, blushes that women wear, of course, lipstick and perfumes are some of the key, and body lotions. So it's important that you talk with your mate and try to get them to use or substitute with healthier alternatives that does not contain xenoestrogen. All right, looking at physiology, if you don't know this by now, you should know that peripheral blood flow, the penis, contains arteries and veins, and the main artery is called corpus cavernosum. And when a man becomes aroused, this artery leading to the penis opens up, and its pressurized blood enters into the penis quickly, which causes an erection. And it leaves out, this extra pressurized blood leaves out through the veins, causing the penis to constrict. Alright, we won't cover this too much area here. Let's move to the next slide. Alright, sexual anorexia or porn-induced erectile dysfunction. Okay, let's talk about this. Right, now porn can lead to unrealistic expectations in a person's tolerance for sexual arousal. It's like heroin or any other drugs. A man requires higher levels of stimulation to be able to perform at the same level. It affects our dopamine level threshold, and usually it desensitizes a man to, normal sexual encounters and renders him unable to get excited. And that's not positive, that's not good. Usually it takes about 90 days to decondition oneself from porn. Now, the recent study conducted in Italy found that increasing the internet pornography viewing among teenage boys can actually cause sexual anorexia, a pathological loss of appetite for romantic sexual interaction. All right, and this is what I mean when I use the term sexual anorexia. There's a good site called Check Out Your Brain Porn that you can look at. It's called Your Brain Porn, yourbrainonporn.com. All right, we covered the testosterone, the different types. And now what we're looking at is comparing young men to older men. And when we look at the levels in this slide, we're going to talk about when is the best time to have sex. Okay, there is a good time, optimum time, there's a low, we call low tide, high tide, or peak time, or ebb time. So we can see that for both younger men, and we look at this graph, and older men, we see that the profile that you see is, and the time zones indicate when is the best time. The younger men have a higher level of testosterone usually than older men, and we're talking about category from 40 on up. And we can see that the best time for young men and older men is at 8 a.m. This is when the testosterone level is at its highest. Usually this is the time you have to get up and go to work, but nevertheless, if you're on vacation, it's good to know. And we see in both cases that it begins to plummet. And when we look at the time, we can see that the best time for older men would be, again, 8 a.m., 12 noon, 4 p.m., and anywhere between 10 and 10:30 p.m. Those are the peak times. And they're the best times for optimum performance. But younger men tend to have higher levels of testosterone, topping out at 8 p.m. But after 8 p.m. it slowly declines throughout the day. But keep in mind that they still have a higher level of testosterone than older men. And so these are the best times, and it's a good strategy when you want to engage in sexual encounters during these times for optimal performance and avoid those low times. Okay, male testosterone production with age. So you can see here, it's an easy chart to read. At 20, you can see the level is very high. And as we look at a 50-year-old, and you can see it's almost half of what it was when it was 20. And this accounts for the 2 to 4% drop in testosterone per year that naturally occurs in a male that has not that does not have any, does not put into use any strategies to boost his testosterone level. At 60, it's even it's very low, and at 80, it's almost non-existent. So this is a need why this stresses the importance why most men in sexual warrior need a strategy that will work for them to produce testosterone to get their testosterone to be at a higher level. And they need to produce more. The male yin cycle. Okay, so in Chinese medicine, I like to look at different forms of medicine: Ayurvedic, Western conventional, and Chinese medicine. This refers to the male yin cycle and yin yang cycle. Now, we're going to talk about times to avoid having sex when your performance, when most men should not expect a great performance. Not to say you can't. But according to Chinese medicine, that you should avoid sex during times when it's very windy, a lot of rain, cold, chilly outside, or if you have sleep deprivation, storms, fatigue, late nights, and intoxication, or a full stomach. These are the times where blood flow is going to be interrupted, hormonal cycle can be affected. Winter is the season of the yin cycle, which tends to decrease male yang qi, or yang energy. So during the winter, in nature, if you look at the cycles of nature, most animals tend to hibernate, and they preserve their energy and conserve their energy until springtime. Well, men and human beings go through 4 cycles or 4 seasons, depending on where you live in the world. If you live in the United States, you're going to go through 4 seasons. If you live in Belize, or if you live in Brazil, then you may go through 2 seasons. But nevertheless, it's important to remember that. Recovery from recent injuries can also diminish sexual energy, which is being used to be rerouted to heal your body. So don't expect after you break your leg or you have a recent injury that your sexual energy is going to peak. And beware of the 4 classical yin factors, such as, again, wet, cold, dark, short days. All of these can block the flow of sexual energy as well. Maintaining a healthy lifestyle is important. Here's some strategies that will help us. Eating healthy, whole foods with little or no processed food. Taking adaptogenic herbs such as schizandra berries, ashwagandha, holy basil, reishi mushrooms. They support the body and help fight stress daily, and which actually helps lowers cortisol, which is, as I mentioned in part one of our presentation, how it's important to get that under control. Getting good night's sleep, deep breathing, yoga, all of these lower cortisols, increasing the parasympathetic nervous system. And getting a massage regular can also help reduce physical and psychological stress. All right, in the morning, testosterone levels at the highest. They will be all day. And we mentioned that in the other slide that we just seen. Traditional Chinese medicine, again, emphasizes other aspects of sexuality, such as ejaculation. Too much ejaculation can drain one's male yang energy. Women tend to get more energy with each orgasm. Men tend to be tired afterwards, and they lose a lot of qi. Excess loss affects the kidneys. According to Chinese medicine, ages the person over time. Overindulgent sexual intercourse or masturbation can lead to weak, lethargic, or lethargy, back problems, knee problems, because it's affecting what is known as the kidney qi, which is the kidney meridian qi system. It's the primary energy of the body. You can think of it as the furnace of the body. Chinese and Taoists and Buddhists, they practice a technique called Tantra Taoist yoga, which allows for vigorous sex many times a day without fatigue, even if a man is in 50 or 60s. But when doing so, there is a schedule of ejaculation. So a man may engage in sex but won't have what we call ejaculation, or have what is known as an ejaculation, which the energy and the sperm energy is preserved in the body and is used for inner alchemy or transmutation of sex to raise the energy to higher chakra levels and for spirituality. One thing we have to be careful with Chinese medicine is that can cause, by not releasing, if you don't know how to do this, you don't have instruction, it can cause the prostate to be backed up with fluids. And it does not contract properly. So it does require discipline, guidance, and the proper know-how. Right. Does marijuana lower testosterone? All right. Good question. Okay, the THC, the psychoactive ingredients, and the CBD, there's 90 different types of cannabinoids in the medicinal compound itself. Okay. Now, all these different cannabinoids can have different effects on the body. So I believe marijuana does lower your testosterone, but not to the magnitude that's often claimed. It will help decrease cortisol, which which is a stress hormone, which will make more testosterone available for sexual encounter. If now too much of it can cause some problems with as far as your sex drive and energy, but a moderation of it is not a problem. They have two species of it, indica and sativa. And the indica plant tends to relax you. Sativa uplifts you for alertness due to the terpenes that exist in it. And so it can actually improve your sexual profile if you understand what you're doing. And several studies did show that 24 hours after smoking marijuana, that the testosterone level reverted back to its previous levels. Every man's birthright. It is every man's birthright to have optimum testosterone and to have it into old age too. So this is what every man should expect. Okay, so part 2 of this series here, as we continue, we're looking at criteria for long-term solutions. We want to be able to use supplements and strategies that are safe, non-invasive, affordable, no prescription necessary, multiple health benefits, good for both men and women, and stimulates the sexual function. Okay, and so important thing to do is to optimize blood flow and natural testosterone production strategy. This is what we're looking at here. Okay, so we can see here that's important that we do that. So how can we do that? Well, we look at a testosterone diet, a precursor diet, and that should be made up of cruciferous vegetables such as broccoli, garlic. We have lean meats. We have salmon is important, eggs, oysters, bananas. And a lot of these have zinc in it, and it actually helps manage the insulin that is in a man's body. And also it manages estrogen if there's too much estrogen. Foods high in zinc is definitely something you want to put on your list, like as I mentioned for oysters, cheese, cashews, just to name a few. Pumpkin seeds are really great. It's one of my favorites. And chocolate, dark chocolate, that is 72% or higher cacao would be better. You want to avoid the sweet milk chocolate type. That is will raise and spike your insulin level and actually lower testosterone. Healthy fats. Well, cholesterol is needed to synthesize vital hormones such as estrogen. So if someone is taking something to block cholesterol production or lower it, it could also lower testosterone as well. Saturated fats are necessary for production of estrogen and testosterone, including progesterone as well. So these are important to have in your diet, but you want to take the good oils. What are good oils? Olive oil, coconut oil, organic palm oil. Avocado oil is also very good as well. And these oils should contain omega-369, omega-7, D3. And study also showed that men with highest vitamin D levels produced more sperm than those men who did not. Okay, so 1 out of every 7 men require fertility treatment in Denmark, and that study was done, and you can figure out why, because the fact is that obviously that they were using healthy oils. My favorite secret love elixir. A good elixir, there's many that you can be very creative, but I like cardamom, gelatinized black maca with ginseng, cacao, beet powder, mixing almonds and coconut blended together with honey or organic sugar. Make a cocktail out of that. You can also use hard-boiled eggs, zinc. The zinc blocks the estrogen, the excess estrogen, Brazil nuts, and organic raw milk. Now MCT oil is also good too. That's medium chain triglycerides. They're very good for brain function, alertness, and energy level, metabolism. Okay, we mentioned already foods and zinc. You need amino acids. You can get amino acids from vegetables, just combination if you're not a meat eater. If you're a vegetarian or vegan, you're still able to do this by strategically utilizing these types of food in your diet. Papaya, onions, watercress, almonds, lettuce, ginger, and so forth. Nitric oxide is good. We get that from beets. Okay, beets are very good for nitric oxide production, stimulating the flow of blood to peripheral areas. Natural Viagra. Beets can be considered a form of natural Viagra. You can make a juice. You can juice it. You can take the beets, use it as a powder, and they definitely will increase that blood flow. Beets also contains high amounts of boron, which also is responsible for the production of testosterone. And looking at the seed of life, how important is semen to a man's body? Well, according to Chinese, 1 drop of semen is equal in vitality to 100 drops of blood and the secretion from each endocrine gland. So we can see we lose 40% of our chi with just one ejaculation. So learning to conserve it is important at any age. The control release should be based on your age. Younger men in their 20s can start out at least once per week or once every 3 days. And older men in their 60s once a week or once every 2 weeks for the release. Now this is based on Chinese medicine and observation empirical studies. The important thing here is to understand that you do not want to ejaculate indiscriminately. You want to use temperance. You want to be aware of its impact upon the energy and the body and how it recovers and how it affects your testosterone level. Hijackers of sexual health. Well, we talked about the sex hormone binding globulin and how it can rob us of free testosterone. So if you're taking a supplement, you want something like Wild Goat Horny Wheat that can help address that. You want to be aware of aromatase conversion into estrogen. And we also have what is called phosphodiesterase type 5, which can deactivate GMP, which can cause you not to have an erection. Endocrine disruptors like xenoestrogen that we talked about before earlier are important to know. And hypogonadism and shrinking testicles, excess pornography as well. All right? So what can produce extra cortisols? We have weakened immune system. This is a stress hormone, heart disease, high blood pressure, digestive, nerve, and so forth. If you have any of these problems, it's going to play a major role in your ability, your libido level, your ability to achieve erection. So you have to address these adequately using natural methods, natural means, lifestyle changes in order to improve your sexual performance. The effect of cortisol, stress hormone, can cause weight gain, high blood pressure, cloudy thinking, many problems, and low sex drive as well. Schizandra is a good adaptogenic herb for controlling the stress effects. So Schizandra berries is one that I highly recommend, and you can take that all year, anytime. It's good for inflammation as well as improving the kidney, the yang function of the kidneys, which help produces more yang energy and raises your libido level. Viagra Levitra Cialis, everyone should know, as your sexual warrior should know, it has a design flaw. Without proper flow to the clitoris, a woman cannot have an orgasm. Without proper flow to the penis, a man cannot have an erection. And so these are what we call PDE5 inhibitors like Viagra. It was never designed as a long-term solution. It was a short-term solution. Most of them become, they lose their potency and effect. And without natural nitric oxide level, if it's too low, it's not going to work. And if the effect of them, the potency of these drugs, PDE5 inhibitors, decrease over time, and they become ineffective for 50% of users after 3 years. So definitely not a long-term solution. Exercises, a much better choice. The Qigong meditative exercises can reduce stress in the body, make available more the production, contribute to the production of testosterone and dopamine in the body, the neurotransmitter dopamine, which is the reward hormone. High intensity training is very good exercise, focusing on your squats, your deadlifts, your cycling, and bench press. Very good. Dynamic stretching. You want to avoid cardio, jogging, and overtraining tend to reduce testosterone level because what it does, it promotes more of a cortisol. And Kegel exercises are great to do, which actually strengthens the genital prostate area. Stinging nettle is another good herb to use, which can increase free testosterone, inhibit the sex hormone binding globulin hormone. It also is great to use for inhibits aromatase contains zinc. It just has a multitude of benefits. Tonka Ali is also very good. It reduces cortisol, blocks estrogen. It reduces, has similar effects, but really promotes higher natural testosterone. This one here needs to be cycled though. You don't want to take it, you might want to take it 3 days on, 2 days off, or take it once a week. If you take it 5 days, then you want to take 2 days off. As you age, your dopamine level as well as testosterone drops by 1% per year. So testosterone is 2 to 4%, but 1%. So we need to keep track of our dopamine levels, as well as you can see by the age of 60, it really has dropped 25% from where it was at when it was at 20. Dopamine connection is, this is a neurotransmitter brain. It affects your drive, your passion, and your lust. And so there are foods that contain tyrosine, the hormone, amino acid, which can actually boost your dopa levels, and it's important to take that. A good herb to take is Mucuna pruriens, and it contains 40 to 99% of us as a source of dopamine. And dopamine again is important for boosting the testosterone, so you can get it in herbs as well as in food. 4 crucial factors that play a huge role in male health this is our review. We have the male hormones, dopamine, blood flow, and nitric oxide causing the vasodilation, and being able to the PDE5, an enzyme, it must be low enough so that it doesn't affect the erection. So being able to control that is very, very important. And again, the herbs that I mentioned previously are just some examples of one of the natural ways that you can go about doing this. So your goal should be long-term solution versus risky short-term. Again, having sex itself is an aphrodisiac. So sexual energy is important. Having sex at least once a week can safeguard your DNA and help you live longer. Women who have sex with a sexual partner at least once a week tend to have longer telomeres, which affects your lifespan. So it's very important a function of the human body. Okay, that ends our part 2, and I want to thank you for watching this presentation. And just want you to know I have a book out called The Male Sexual Warrior. It's available on Amazon. It goes into a great deal of detail about what we have presented in this presentation. I'll leave a link below so you can get a copy. You can get that. And read the book, all the exercise hormones, many suggestions, and some ancient exercises and breathing exercises that you can do to enhance your life, your intimacy. And I wish you the best of luck. And again, study, do your own research, and remember that you are a sexual warrior, and that you are also an alpha male, and that is the only way to live. Thank you.